It is a beautiful day for some DSA, and welcome back to the Cozy Club, my friends. My name is Cozy Gamer, and today we're going to talk everything you need to know about spells in DSA. Now, spells are a little bit different than any other mobile game, as we haven't seen anything like this like in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and Marvel's Strike Force. And I thought with more new players coming to the game and with the raid coming around the corner, it's a great time to talk about some of the lesser known things about spells. So in this video, we're going to briefly touch on each spell. We're also going to talk about the charge speed of each spell, as each spell in the game has a certain rate at which it charges, and then you can use it in battle. And then also I'm going to talk about when you can unlock this spell or where you can unlock this spell as well. Now, spells are meant to be a complement to your rosters of characters throughout DSA, and more we're seeing these spells be more faction specific or character specific. So it's important to know what each spell does. So outside this video, I also encourage you to check out the best spells within the game, as they have not changed much, and that is in a video up in the top right hand corner. The top 10 spells back in August are going to be about the same as the top 10 spells now. Now, a few things to know about spells is you unlock them at different paces of the game. Some of them are only going to be unlockable through really pay to play methods, and some of them are going to be a lot better than others, so make sure you pay attention to the spells that we're talking about in this video. Also, just like your characters, you're going to need upgrade materials to upgrade these spells, and they're not very easy to come by, so you want to make sure that you upgrade the right spells and use your resources in the best way possible. I have spells even myself right now that I could upgrade. However, because I don't have a ton of these materials, I'm hanging on to them myself, and I'm going to upgrade the spells that are going to give me the best chance to win in Conquest, Live PvP, and Sorcerer's Tournament. So unlike characters, spells don't tend to change how good they are very often. We don't get near as many spells as we do characters. In fact, we haven't gotten that many since the release of DSA. But that could be a good thing because we know they're not going to go anywhere. And now that we've seen a lot of the major nerfs and buffs, we can hope that they kind of stay within this tier list and they stay about the same. Now, before we start today's video, and if you are new to DSA, or if you just want a positive community to talk to this game about, guys, feel free to join one of these awesome communities. We've got a great Discord where you can talk to other players and get advice about spells, towers, characters, and everything in between. If you want to join and just watch some crazy segments and some kind of different stuff within DSA, join the live stream. You can check that out in the description below. And other than that, guys, go ahead, join and follow me on Twitter. I like to talk about different packs, different deals, things to take advantage of. I ask different questions and everything else, my friends. Let's go ahead and start out and talk about Big Thunder Boom. Now, as far as the charge speed for this spell, it's going to be ranking in the slow category. It's going to take some time to get this thing charged up. This spell is going to be good with those teams that have a lot of health, a lot of defense, and the battle is a lot longer. Why is that? Well, when you throw out these dynamite sticks, what they're going to do is stun the enemy after 2 turns. It can even take away magic from them. Very solid spell mid-game, even good into late game. Does fall off a little bit towards the very end of the game, but you will unlock this after beating Tower 2. Thunder Mountain Boom is one of the better free-to-play spells within DSA, and again, it's not bad to put some unlocked tokens into this bad boy. Next up is Bucket of Soldiers, guys. This is going to be a medium charge speed. This is a pay-to-play spell. You're only going to find this within the Toy Story event that just so happens to be going on right as I release this video. Excellent spell for mid-game if you do find yourself in that area, but it does fall off late game. It's going to do some great things with basic attacks. Each and every time a character uses a basic attack, you can expect these little small green soldiers to assist, up to 4 of them, clearing evades, doing some great damage, and effectively working very well with a lot of teams. Would I invest in a Bucket of Soldiers? Probably not. If you plan on playing DSA for a while, just go ahead, unlock this naturally through the Toy Story event, and go ahead and save those gems and money for something else down the line. For our third spell, we've got Conjuring Cauldron, my friends, and we are going to be talking about one of the best spells within DSA right here. Definitely one of those spells that get better and better as you level it up. And you're going to have these little, let's call them goops, coming from the cauldron. And what those goops are going to do effectively is going to lower your team's cooldown for each goop that lands on an ally. So let's say you've got Elsa out on the field and you do her silence attack and you put Cauldron out. Well, what that's going to do is as each goop hits Elsa, the cooldown for her next silence attack, Force of Nature, is going to go down 1 at a time. And if you just so happen to get 3 of those, again, you should be able to use it pretty much immediately. So it can definitely make some characters' abilities that should not be spammable. And on top of that, you're getting 10% speed turn meter to that ally. Of course, the faster the speed on that ally, the more turn meter that they're going to get. Go and try to unlock this spell. Start leveling it up. It's going to be a spell that's going to last through DSA, and it's a pretty safe spell because you're always going to want these characters to have lower cooldowns, and you're going to always want them to have speed turn meter. So again, this is a cozy certified safe spell to invest in. Now, Clock Tower, guys. Clock Tower has been on the rise for months and months, and it's personally one of my more favorite spells. Just like Thunder Mountain Boom, it's going to be more advantageous in a longer battle. But what I love about it is it's going to act as something that can clear those pesky evades that within every battle we see now that Hero Hamada is free to play, and he's the #1 character pretty much in this game. Now, what Clock Tower does other than clearing those evades is putting a debuff called Midnight Countdown. Now, what happens after that clock strikes midnight, my friends? Well, it's going to polymorph each and every one of those enemies into a pumpkin where they're going to have reduced defense. You're going to be able to do some extra damage on them. It's going to essentially render them useless. And again, a great spell for some of those slower, longer battles. All right, we got Dad Pants now, and Dad Pants is a slow charging spell. It's a pay-to-play spell on top of that, and even on top of that, it's only really good to use with the Onward Brothers or Onward Trio. You're going to be inflicting silence and a possibility of offense down on the target and some adjacent targets. You're going to be giving Ian and Barley some great buffs, but again, it's just not going to be worth investing in unless you just want to all out go in on the Onward team. Mr. Duke Caboom, one of the best Disney characters that they have created, my friends. Now, it is one of the most underrated spells within Disney Sorcerer's Arena. You can get this and unlock this at any time. And guys and my friends, it is a safe investment. Do you finally have a big attack that you're ready to use against your enemies? Well, throw this out there first, get those guaranteed crits, and make sure you finish them off. Especially good against those heroes like Simba, Baymax, and those ones that you want to make sure that you have dead. Throw Duke Caboom or combine it with Dash for some crazy possibilities. All right, now get your raincoats on because we've got Splash Mountain Soak, my friends. And this was definitely one of my favorite spells within DSA. I don't find myself using it as often, but a spell that I'm going to recommend to use if you like to frustrate the enemy and control them. You can clear evades. You can go ahead and extend harmful effects like silence and stun. You can extend any harmful effect out on the field on your enemy. Now, with Elsa being more free to play than ever, you want to control her and her show yourself ability more and more. And this is a great spell to control these big, hard-hitting characters and their abilities. You can go ahead and throw them off completely, extend all of their cooldowns by 1, and really, again, throw off your enemy and their pace of the battle. All right, now it's time to talk about probably the best spell within the game. However, it's not always the best spell to use with certain teams, and that is going to be Fairy Slumber. And what it does, guys, is it's going to put the primary and adjacent targets to sleep, remove 30% speed turn meter, and altogether clear evades. There's nothing bad that this spell does. Now, when a target is asleep, it completely skips their turn, and if they get hit, they wake up. But with all those evades out there, there's just such a less chance for that to happen. Definitely a super powerful spell that even if you don't get the sleep off, you're going to be removing that turn meter and clearing those evades. You can unlock this after Tower 3, guys, and it is definitely a safe investment. Oh, Foul Play. How Foul Play has gone from the top to the bottom, guys. It is a pay-to-play spell that is not really worth even buying. Now, it's going to purge a helpful effect on the target ally, which at this point, we've got characters that do that on basic abilities. So again, you're seeing how this is not worth the investment. It's going to take that buff that you took, give it to some of your allies, and if you have Aladdin characters, it increases the more buffs that you're going to get. And unless we get a big buff to the spell or Aladdin characters, you can go ahead and safely skip this one. All right, now we're at one of the most used spells in the game, and that is Golden Hammer, guys. This is the only spell that could revive one of your characters that have died. You can unlock this after Tower 3. And some things to note about it is it's a very slow charging spell that speeds up as your allies die. This is the only thing that's going to bring those dead allies back to life, swinging the advantage in your favor. With Downtown Heroes being more than the meta right now, this is definitely a spell you're going to see in most of your battles. As with Downtown Heroes, they're going to gain undefeatable when they are revived. They're going to gain some speed turn meter and some extra health. So there's no reason not to use this if you're running Incredibles, Big Hero 6, or tech teams, as this is definitely the best spell you can run on both offense and defense. It is Halloween, and we've got the Headless Horseman spell, my friends. Right now, you can unlock shards of this through PvP through the PvP packs. You can also just get this spell right at Tower 1, right to go. It's a great flanking spell. Silence is one of the best debuffs within DSA, so definitely a great mechanic to throw silence on all flanking enemies. You've got a great chance of doing that. Definitely a safe spell to invest in, as you can use this in Conquest PvP, and I'm sure it's going to be useful down the road, even into in-game. You can go ahead and be rest assured that it's a decent spell that you should be using on your DSA journey. Let's go ahead and talk about the pay-to-play variant kind of the Headless Horseman, and that is Wild Imagination. Now, Wild Imagination is a pay-to-play spell, again, through the Toy Story events. It does a lot of great things. It's got the claw effect that you can clear evades not just once, but twice. You're going to hit the enemies with 2 devastating attacks, putting heal block on the primary target, and you have chances to put continuous damage and other heal blocks on the adjacent targets depending on your Toy Story villains. Now, I say Toy Story villains because for the most part you should be using this with fear teams. However, because of that double clear of the evade and some great damage and heal block, I do see this in the meta from time to time. Now, right now, Cozy Club, I would not invest in this spell because right now the only way to gain it is through the Toy Story event or paying for it. And there's just better spells out there rather than using, again, your hard-earned gems on this guy. Now, one thing I want to talk about with you, Cozy Club, is how you use spells. Now, typically, you've got offense spells and you've got defense spells. You have spells that hit the enemy and you have spells that help your allies out. Now, I like to have one offensive spell and one kind of more passive spell for my team as I go into battle on both offense and on defense. You definitely want to focus on, obviously, those defense spells. All right, the spell I was just talking about from the Toy Story event that is totally worth investing in at any moment of the game, that is going to be the Claw. Now, this is a pay-to-play spell that is going to be hitting the enemy twice. It's going to hit the enemy once for 1 damage and then load a bunch of them for a second time. Now, currently, this is one of the fastest charging spells within DSA, so you can expect to get this a lot. In fact, you can use Claw and then use something like Show Yourself, and you should have the Claw right up and ready to use again. Now, the reason you see this so often is because you want to clear those evades, but you do want to be careful for characters like Baymax or Bubbles because they have effects that the more hits are on the field, the more their passives charge their mechanics. And go ahead, if you want to spend money or you want to use your gems or just go and focus on one spell, the Claw is a great safe way to go. Magical Meteor is the first spell that you're going to get within DSA, and it is a pure damage spell. Now, it's got a slow charge speed. It does some decent damage at the beginning and a little bit of the middle game, but this is one that you're going to want to replace. There's just simply better spells out there, and go ahead and ignore this spell. Don't really worry about wasting your spell upgrade materials on this thing because you're going to be replacing it very quickly. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Mortal Potion, guys. Probably one of the best and coolest looking spells in the game, and hopefully, I see it in the comments a lot, we get Hercules soon, my friends. This is a slow charge speed spell that is going to strip the buffs and replace those buffs with the equal debuff on the enemy. It's the only spell and the only thing in this game that can remove invincibility, which you're going to see on Maui and in some PvE instances, so definitely has a great viability there. Now, you'll be able to unlock Mortal Potion after Tower 2, and once you unlock it, you pretty much get the use of the spell, so I don't recommend upgrading this as of right now. Go ahead and focus on those more key spells and then go ahead and come back to this one. Let's talk about Peanut Pummel, my friends. This one went from glory down to nothingness when the game came out. Peanut Pummel, you saw in every lineup. It was AoE ridiculous blind spells. However, blind is now going to be on the target enemy, and it will remove speed turn meter from that target enemy, so it does have its uses. However, Dumbo is very slow. This spell just does not charge very fast, so I don't recommend going after this one or using your materials to upgrade it. All right, now we've got another beginner spell that you're going to see from the beginning of the game called Infinity Sided Die, guys. And this is somewhat of a slept-on spell, and you actually see this thing used from beginning, mid, and in-game. It's not super common in-game. However, I definitely run across people who use it. Now, when fully maxed out, this is going to be a great spell to use with people like Elsa, Donald Duck, and Scrooge, because you're going to be able to put random buffs on random characters. Now, you're not going to be able to give allies certain buffs or pick the allies that it goes on. However, it's going to pick from 3 to 4 buffs, put them on your allies, and then it's going to pick 3 to 4 harmful effects and put them on the enemy. Now, this is definitely a safe spell to invest in, and you're not going to really regret investing into this guy even into late game, as it does have its uses, especially in Club Conquest. All right, now we've got another tower spell, and probably one of my favorite ones within the game. It's the most fun spell without a doubt, to use in DSA, and that is Peter Pan's Shadow, which you will get after beating the infamous Tower 3 as a reward, and then you can go ahead and unlock it through the tower exchange as all other spells. And what this spell is going to do is copy one of the characters on the field. If you're in a battle and you're wondering why there's a shadow copy of one of the characters, well, it's coming from Peter Pan's Shadow, and this shadow will get haste typically when it's maxed out, and also use its basic abilities. Now, Genie gets more hits the more damage he does, and Cobra Bubbles is going to be assisting with tactics, so definitely a great spell to pair up offensively, but also on the defense side of things, put this with your Frozen team and you can't go wrong. All right, let's talk about one of the worst spells in the game, being Snowgies. Now, these cute snowmen, they might look like something you want to use, but go ahead, avoid this spell. All this spell is going to do is when it's maxed out, you have a 40% chance, so not even a flip of the coin, to stun one target, and you'll be putting slow on the enemies. Just not a great spell, nothing to invest in as of now, so just pass this bad boy. Now, Gramma Tala is one of the newest spells within the game, my friends, and it is a great healing spell. Right now, it's the best healing spell within DSA, and it's super clutch and super useful to use within the Tower of Endurance modes and the Triton's Tower and Stitch Tower modes. Now, it's going to be much better with Oceanics, and it's great out the gate. However, Cozy Club, right now it is pay to play only, but I would say this is one of those safer spells you can invest in. It's a 10 out of 10 in my book and a great spell to use. Blue Fairy Magic, guys, is one of the spells that were the best ones in the game at global launch, and then it fell very deeply amongst, let's say, the spell stocks, but it's rising back up with all the debuffs and the super silence metas that we're seeing out there. Now, what does Blue Fairy Magic do? Well, first of all, you unlock it after beating the tough, the hard, the infamous Tower 5. You're going to be flipping those harmful effects on one of your characters to the adjacent helpful effects, and then you're gaining them 30% speed turn meter for each harmful effect that was cleansed. It's going to get characters that look like they're useless with silence, and they're just loaded with debuffs like stun, and they're not going to be able to move, to all of a sudden flipping those debuffs, having them have a guaranteed up on the turn meter bar, and then having a move to use right away. Now, quickly, we've got Spirit of Mufasa that also saw a big nerf, taking it from one of the better spells in the game and making it a lot less useful. Guys, I want Mufasa to come in the game. Comment down below, should we get the real Mufasa in this game? What this spell will do is, depending on their role in battle, they're going to get a different buff. If you've got Simba on there, it's going to help him out, and he'll get all three of those. And in addition to that, they have chances to gain evasion. This spell is not only not easy to unlock as you get it through the Lion King event, or you can pay for it, but also it has a very slow charge speed. So altogether, Cozy Club, go ahead and avoid this guy. All right, now let's talk about a spell that I always find people asking questions about, and that is Sugar Rush. Now, at first look, these gumdrops look like a spell that's going to be super useful in battle, but this is why charge speed is so important to know. This is one of, if not the slowest charging spell within the game, and so by the time you get to use it, a lot of your team has so much damage, or a lot of them are even dead at that moment. But what this will do is it's going to give haste to all of your allies, and they have a chance to use their basic attack on the enemies. But again, because of how slow charging this is, it's just not worth the bang for buck to get it. Avoid this spell because you're not going to be using this in really any point within the game. All right, now Prince John's Taxes is kind of one of those spells that go up and down with its uses. Now, when Gear 8 comes out, guys, Robin Hood does have some nice abilities that are going to get a kick up. And so I do expect to see this maybe a little bit more if you pair this up with Robin Hood. But for the most part, you can go ahead and avoid this guy. It's got a slow charge speed, and on top of that, it'll be decreasing the cooldowns on your enemies and be taking some of that speed turn meter away. However, right now, it's just not finding its spot within the meta, and there's just better spells to invest in. All right, we got Trigger's Tower from Robin Hood, another Robin Hood spell, but also another lacklusting spell. At the beginning of the game and even in mid-game, it's not bad. In fact, a lot of you are going to be like, guys, Cozy, this spell works in battle. Well, its damage does drop off significantly, and it only really has uses with continuous damage teams. You only get 2 spell spots, and this is just not one that you want to dump all of your resources in, but personally, I just don't think it's something you should invest in. And for the last spell of today's video, my friends, we've got Zap. But guys, avoid this fast charging spell. This is one of the fastest charging spells within the game, but it's a little bit too random for my taste, and I really don't see this used at any point during my DSA journey. You can use it and you can get some viability out of it, but for the most part, guys, go ahead and avoid this thing. I want to thank you guys so much for coming by, hanging out at the Cozy Club today. Hopefully you guys like some of these beginner style videos. We'll be getting more of these out there. If you like today's video, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. We should have a lot more videos coming to you later this week, and guys, you know what to do. Until next time, stay cozy, my friends.